Coach, NCAA men's right on the horizon. You've got a big group going. Let's start with Akram Mahmoud. He's certainly a national contender in the 1650, where he's got the second best time in the country. Also in the 500 free, where he's got the fourth best time in the country. His goal is to win it, and it's going to be tough in both of those events. What's it going to take for him to stand at the top of the podium?
He's going to have to go faster than he's ever gone before. I think he's the young man that trains in a way that he has that desire, and you can see every practice that's his goal. He wants to be the best distance swimmer in the NCAA, and he has even more broader goals. He wants to be the best distance swimmer in the world, and he trains like that. So I think what we're going to have to see from him is a very smart race. He will be in the top 8 heat at night at NCAA, so he'll be swimming in the final of the 1650, and he's going to have the fastest guys around him. I think you look at his top competition, there's a young man out of Texas named Clark Smith who currently is seated just a little bit ahead of Akram, and then there's a young man out of Georgia, Matthias Koski, who Akram swam at SECs and beat him at SECs, but Matthias is always very, very good at NCAA. So you look at those guys, and there's a few other guys that are going to be in the mix, but it is really going to be it's going to be a race for the wall, I think. And I think the bottom line, the guy who wins here is going to have an NCAA record. I really think that's the case. We hope it's Akram. We know he can do that. He's capable of doing that, so we're gonna put him in a position through race strategy to in the last couple of 100 yards. He's just going to have to race. He's just going to have to be tough and hurt a little bit and get to the wall first. And I was talking with Coach Mark Bernardino the other day, and he said, if we come down to the last 200 and we're within a body length, I'm betting on my guy. And I agree. I think that's exactly the way we look at it. With Akram, he hates losing more than he enjoys winning. So that's a pretty powerful motivator. So coming down the stretch in the mile, I think if we set him up strategically to be in a good position, I think his heart will kind of get him to the wall first.
Nobody's swimming more events for you guys than Tom Parabonio. I think he's got 3 individuals. He's joining Akram in the mile and the 500. He's also got the 4IM and then a relay. That's a lot of events in a 3-day period in the strongest meet in the country. What does it take for Tom to stay fresh throughout the whole meet? And then, what are you looking for him to do results-wise?
This is where we kind of rely on his training. I mean, he does a lot of volume during the year, and that's going to carry him over through this last meet. When we rest down and expect him to be fast, we're going to have to make sure that he's prepared for each race, but also recovered from each race, and that's handled in how we warm him down after his races, when we schedule massage therapy, ice baths, nutrition, things like that in between the sessions, so he is fully recovered and kind of repaired in between prelims and finals. He is a young man that can get second swims and score points in all of his events. So I think we're looking for big things from Tom, but Tom is a young man that we've never seen him in a position where he didn't accept the challenge. You have choices that you can make where you can either back down or you can get after it, and he always chooses to get after it. And so I think we have no reason to think he won't do the same thing again. I'm confident in the events that he's in, and I know he's going to be great in all of them.
Niels Wigglausen was an All-American last year in one of the breaststroke events. He's back to swim both of them again this season, and I got to think he's aiming to be an All-American in both of them.
Yeah, I mean that is what we're hoping for. I mean, these guys, they all have a drive that they want to stand on top of the podium. They want to be the #1 guy in the country, and there's a lot of talent in the breaststroke events. We thought it was going to actually be a little bit more open this year. 11 seniors graduated last year out of the 200 breaststroke in the top 16, and the breaststroke events got faster. So that's kind of fun. There's a young man, Will Lacone, out of Texas, who's the #1 seed coming in, and he is the reigning NCAA champion. And so if Niels is going to win that event, that's the guy he's got to go get. So it'll be fun to see how how we do over those last few days. That 200 breaststroke, it's a long way into the meet. That's the last day, so he's got to stay focused, and he's got to stay as fresh as possible going into that last Saturday.
Seemed like Cody Beckmeyer really peaked towards the end of the season. He swam in the 1650, and then you got some guys going as well in the 800 free relay, which has always been one of the signature events of your program. In those two events, what do you want to see happen?
Cody's a young man who, very similar to Taylor Worrell, went to the last chance meet in Athens and dropped 4 more seconds off of what was already a best time in his mile by a ton. So I was happy for him. He actually opened the doors. If Cody had not gotten into the meet, our 800 freestyle relay wouldn't have been able to swim. So having that kind of pressure as a freshman going into that swim and being able to pull it off and getting more guys into the meet because you got invited to the meet, that's a huge deal. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. I was really proud of that. The 2 guys, Kevin Lighthold, Finn Manuth, are going to be our 2 guys that'll go as relay-only swimmers. Kevin was a young man who was at the meet last year, qualified in the 100 breaststroke and the 100 freestyle. And he did not qualify individually this year, but did qualify onto the relay. He had a little bit of an off meet at SECs, but right now is looking sharper than I've ever seen him look before. I think he's going to have a great meet when we get there. And then, he as well as Niels Witt-Glossen are going to be heading off to Germany not too long after that to swim German Nationals. So we're looking for big things from these guys. You've got that plus Jordan Gotro on the boards. This is a really solid group that we've got going out there that can put up a lot of points. We're looking to stay in the top 20 in the country this year, and that's a goal we have. We want to move up. We want to score more points than last year. So we're going to go in there excited and see what we can do.
Yeah, and a lot of those websites, they love to kind of point out the psych sheets and see where different teams will finish, and just about everybody who's doing that has you guys in the top 20. I got to think if you can do even better than that, that's going to be an NCAA to remember.
Well, like I said, I think it boils down to what that 8 free relay can do. If the 8 free relay can get in there and score like it did last year, I do think we can pull off more points than we had last year, and I do think we can finish higher. We can't really control what these other teams do or how they swim, but we can control how we're prepared, and I think they're on the right track.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.